everyone, to our October Explorer Call from Aira. I'm Janine Stanley. I'm your Explorer Community Manager. I am joined tonight by
Her internet broke out just as she was introducing exactly who she's introducing.
No!
There she is. There we go. Okay.
Yes, there he is, the YouTube guru. Yahoo! All right.
Yeah. Hello,
Excellent.
everyone.
And tonight we have a jam packed show. We are going to have our CEO, Troy Otilio, talking to us all here in a moment. Do we have Troy yet, Ryan?
We do have Troy. Yeah, Troy's just joined us.
Hello. Hello, Troy. And so, with no further ado, I am going to go ahead and introduce the CEO of Aira Tech Corp, Mr. Troy Otilio.
Hello, everyone. Wow. I join and then boom, here we go. How many people, Janine, do we have here? Like, what's going on?
How many people are we looking at, Ryan, right now?
So we're looking at right now 13 people who have, people are still trickling in, but we still have 13 people on Zoom, and we have...
All right.
10 people on YouTube right now.
All right, so we've got a nice, small, intimate crowd. Well, here's what I know. This call always brings out our most passionate and super Aira users, right? I love it. I love talking to this group, and you're going to hear me talk a little bit, but this is an extra important event tonight because I got some great news, and then also, I'm going to be kind of more transparent than I have in the past, or ask for I have some ideas for you. I have some needs I have needs that I think will serve all of us, right? And I'm here to kind of share that. But let's just start like, hey, look, time flies. Like feels like we just had a call. It's probably because my day, much like your days, are different but also busy, and time flies. And of course, we're still dealing with. But I'm getting a little feedback, so if I sound a little stuttery, it's because I'm changing my volume. There we go.
As well, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't have to say it. We all know what's going on. There's COVID, there's voting. One thing I did want to mention, and maybe Janine, you want to just pile on this. We, of course, in partnership with a lot of great partners, at the early part of COVID, we launched the Flatten Inaccessibility site, the survey. That report is now out, and I've seen it, I've read it. It's comprehensive. It's not for light reading, but it's the study of our time, right? I think it's the largest study of this community in relation to COVID at the start of COVID. And I think, Janine, maybe you'll talk a little more about it, or like what else can you share about that?
And if you'd like me to take a minute, we have Joshua Fluellen here who helped with the survey. And
yeah, do it.
We also have a podcast up. This is episode 27 of IraCast. So if you subscribe to IraCast in your podcast player of choice, which includes the Victor Reader stream for all of you who like that device, you can listen to our latest podcast with Dr. L. Penny Rosenblum from the American Foundation for the Blind, Joshua and Paul Schrader, all talking about this survey. Now, it's not light reading, but it's also not a difficult read, and there are some really interesting things in this survey. Like, for example, the fact that 91% of the people who took the survey are registered voters, but only 28% of them said that they knew their state had accessible voting. That's sad. That is very sad. And there were almost as many people in the survey who didn't even know about accessible voting, that it was an option. So that's really a big deal. But the fact that we got together and did this survey, which is the largest survey of the blind and low vision population at a point in time, that's pretty amazing. And you can find this report at flatteninaccessibility.com. The report is right up there. There is an accessible PDF. You can also read it online in HTML. It's, as I said, it's a pretty easy thing to actually digest. It's written in, as plain language as we could get with still being academic. So it's easy to understand, and it's unfortunately, and Joshua, you might want to speak to this, things really haven't changed that much since April, have they?
In my own experience, no, I haven't seen them change, Janine. It is a fantastic read. I highly encourage anyone who is interested in not only the state of things happening nearby them, but in the experiences of individuals all over the country to dig in. And you can even read just small sections and portions of it. You don't have to read it all the way through. You can read a section on transportation or education. There are small little bits to focus on what you may be most interested in.
Great. And there will be some public forums that AFB will be holding over the next couple weeks. And there's information about those forums on their website, which is afb.org. So with that, hopefully you all will be able to hear me a bit better now. Sorry about that. Let's go back to Troy, though, and some big news that we have for everybody.
Yes. All right.
Here.
So I've got two things we're going to talk about. I'm going to spend a smaller amount of time on this first topic, and then we're going to have a longer discussion on the second topic, and then we're going to open it to questions and discussion. So the first one is kind of cool. It's really cool. So we all know that Target is a access partner, right? And I know it's one of our most broadly used, most frequently used offers, even in COVID, where we're not necessarily going out shopping as often, but we have to get our groceries, we have to get the things we need, and so we see a lot of usage at Target. But one thing we didn't launch with, Target didn't launch with, was the ability to use Aira while you're on the Target website. Yet we know, because we see this, whether there's an access offer or not, we see a lot of usage for all kinds of websites. Not all websites are perfect. Not all websites are accessible. And then there's somewhere in between. There's something between accessibility and usability. And you all know this better than I do, but I certainly have privy to some of the recorded videos privately, and I also see the metrics that we capture. And it's just sometimes it frustrates me, but it must frustrate many of you more, because this is your experience. I have the benefit of using my eyes and getting around websites, but when I see this challenge, and again, Target I think does a phenomenal job at accessibility. So, but even still, Target's now choosing to open up their access offer to their website and their Target app, right? So, I think we just pause on that, because, as Aira access increases, so that reduces the cost, right? That means you can use more offers for free, whether you're free or paid. That just is less minutes more minutes you have to do more exactly what you want to do versus, get past some challenge. And so the Target.com site, the Target app, is now part of the Target offer. And Janine and Ryan can correct me, but you find that in the promotion section of the Aira app.
Absolutely. I wish I had a big cheering sound effect for that too.
And I think to the extent anyone knows, Steve Decker, I still have to give him so much credit for kind of, initially, leading and really championing, this and probably other accessibility capabilities at Target. But, when it comes to Aira, he's been a fantastic partner, and really helped champion this next phase of having Target.com, have the Target app as part of the free offer. And so one thing I would love for everyone to know, and even maybe this is my first call to action, and you're going to hear more specifically with respect to this next message, know that these companies do listen. And where do they listen and watch? They listen and watch on social. So I know not everyone's on social. I'm certainly not on social every day. For people are busy. Like sometimes socials isn't the friendliest place, depending on who your friends are, what's going on, but let's know that Target watches and listens. So whether it's Twitter or Facebook, anytime you post, anytime you share, even with your friends, like that is helping this whole ecosystem develop, right? Because that reinforces not to Steve Decker, but to the executives at Target that this is a great thing and that this community really appreciates it. And that just encourages more. So
absolutely.
That's Target. So we're super excited. I'm super excited about that because, again, especially with COVID, we're just seeing a lot more online usage of Aira.
Absolutely. So everybody hit that clap emoji now.
Yay. Okay. So this next one, you're gonna, hopefully my passion comes through over the phone, over the Zoom, I should say. And if you were to see me, like I'm smiling, my last name's Otilio. I've got a little Italian blood. I'm like moving my arms. I'm pumped up. And so it's not news, or it shouldn't be news, or hopefully it's not news to you all that we launched with Starbucks, right? We talked about that, online. We're trying to make as much noise as possible. And I want to talk about what we're doing and kind of the backstory here, and then also tell you how you can help, because you can. And so if you bear with me, I'm going to go through kind of some, I'm turning off my, I'm getting some notifications. I just turned them off. I'm going to go through a bit of the situation we're in. I'm going to talk a little bit about some, general complications and implications. And then I have a kind of what I think we should do together, right? And it's all good. So this is really just, this is the time for us to have this conversation, which is, ultimately, as you know, access is a path to reducing cost for your usage, right? The more access, frankly, that means, again, the less minutes that you have to spend on your personal plan. If you're a free user, it just means you can use Aira more, right? And that's the vision, right? Because we know that this can be costly for an individual if you were to use it all the time for everything you might want to do. And so that's why we do access, right? And I've heard a lot of people ask, well, like, why didn't you deploy it with Duncan? Why didn't you deploy it? Like, we don't get to choose where to deploy. We get to choose who we try to sell. We get to choose how much time and energy we put into these different access opportunities. And oftentimes it takes a long time to get to the decision maker. Certainly we've been talking to Starbucks for quite a long time. And so here we are at a situation where Starbucks chose to launch Aira for a 3-month test. And so just think about that word test. So it's a test. They're testing to see if this is a good idea. And it took us a lot of energy to get them to see that it's a good idea, not because, they're somehow resistant, not because somehow they don't think this community is important. It's just, large brands are very careful about providing or changing their service. And it's a endorsement of some level to say, hey, we're launching with Aira, but they can't commit yet because we're not proven to them and to their customers, right? Which I think many of us are. At some point in the year, we're a Starbucks customer. We go to Starbucks. And so we have this opportunity because of the success who came before. So I talked about Target. Why did Starbucks choose to launch with Aira? Well, they looked around like, hey, are we going to be the first? No. We have Target, Bank of America, airports, colleges, Wegmans, Intuit, Maia, but it's still early days. And so they chose to launch in 7 cities, which are going to off my head, but this is in smallest population to largest. So I think I have this right, but it's Seattle, Minneapolis. Which one's the next one I'm thinking about? I'm gonna skip over to it's Boston, New York, LA. Which was the one I'm missing, Janine? Seattle,
Baltimore.
Minneapolis, Baltimore. Why would I forget Baltimore? I don't know. But these cities are the testing ground. And by the way, when we say a city, it's all the retail stores, but it's outside of the official city limits. So if you were to literally like look at where the boundary is. It's not like the official, city limits that you may or may not be in. Like I'm in Carlsbad, not San Diego, but to most people, I'm in San Diego. So the boundaries are pretty generous. And Aira is free. So you can go as many times as you want into a Starbucks. You're just limited to 30 minutes at a time. So some people ask, like, is this once a month, once a day? No, it's 30 minutes a visit. And
as
if
much pumpkin bread as you can eat, right?
as much pumpkin bread, as often as you want to tempt yourself. How about that? Now, if we pass the test, deployment will broaden. And if we fail the test, the offer will end, right? That's it's a 3-month test. And Starbucks is really testing for engagement. They want to know how many users per city will use this offer. They also want to know how many total calls will there be. And they're not looking for it to be small. Like some people have asked, like, well, Troy, I'm afraid that I don't want to use an access offer if I don't really need it. That may be like a consideration, and we could talk about it another time, like for your for the free use, the free call. But we've kind of solved that by having a more like a limit on that. No, access partners want to see, we want to see more calls, even if they're trivial calls. Like that's a sign that this is a valuable service. It's a sign that, as a community, we're engaged. So they want to know how many users per city, how many calls total, and they also want to know, what does this community think? What are they sharing on social? Are they responding to surveys? There'll be some post-call surveys that go out. And so the situation is Aira is mustering all of its experience and abilities to pass this test. But of course, we can't make the calls. We can't fill out the surveys. We can't really post, on your behalf. So that's where I think you all can make a difference, right? But there's a complication. Not everybody is in the target city, let alone the target country. And those who are in the location, there's added challenges for travel. I mean, it is a different environment, right? Like we're having to choose carefully about how we operate outside of our homes. There's also some more important events and initiatives, right, in all our lives than visiting Starbucks, right? Like there's an election, right? And there's weather coming up, right? So there's, this isn't the most important thing. It's a complication. And not all the cities are the same size. So, when you think about the population of Seattle, there's, about 1/10 of the population is compared to, New York, LA. It's a smaller city. There's going to be less people. And then we only have 3 months to show the world that this community matters and that Aira is a useful solution, among others. And we're in day 20. We have 24 days left in our first milestone, because we're looking at these things on 30-day milestones. So some other complications, and then I'm going to get to like, well, what do we do? We haven't passed every test. Like we launched with MBTA, we launched with MTA, and while we hit some impressive numbers, those organizations, albeit public organizations, chose to delay or defer deployment. And then here's another complication. We know, despite all of our initial marketing, that in kind of random surveys, we found a lot of people still don't know about this offer, right? Which I get it. Like we're all busy. Not everyone is waiting for Aira to like post something on Twitter or to send them an email. Like it's challenging to get this word out. And so the implication here is, success will lead to greater public awareness about this community, and that, ultimately accessibility is not just a right, but is achievable and has benefits, right? Like if Starbucks moves forward, this sends a pretty strong message, right? At the same time, the other implication is failure will be not just a setback for, let's just say, Aira or you who might want to use, Starbucks in your own city, which would come if we are past this test. It's kind of a larger signal, I think. So that's why I take it so, why we're taking it so seriously. Because let's face it, Starbucks followed Target. well, if Starbucks doesn't launch, that kind of gets out. And then like others may say, well, maybe this isn't as important. Maybe this isn't maybe it's not time, which I think you can recognize, affects everything. So here's my position. Your engagement matters, whether you're in a test city or not. And it's really about winning together. So, our job is to make this as easy as possible for you to engage, to help, to make it a great tool, perhaps. And here's my call to action. So I'm going to pause for a minute. I've talked a lot. I'm just going to review that. The offer is there. We have roughly 90 days to kind of prove this out. And they're looking for calls, they're looking for engagement. And the question is, okay, so what are we going to do? So here's my ask. Here's what you can do. So you're either in a target city or you're not. If you're in one of those cities that I mentioned, the first obvious thing is visit a Starbucks. Go make a call before November 15th. And then maybe call up a friend and invite them to join. Forward the information, share why this matters. Share on social. I think Janine will, maybe Janine, you can even share. We've had people go out and make calls, which is great. We've even had some posts. Do you have an example, Janine, either without naming?
I absolutely do. Yeah. So we have an explorer who was going to Starbucks, and she actually posted that she really enjoyed the help that she got getting through that big parking lot, which if you all remember Greg Stilson, you'll remember what he said about those last 50 feet to the door being some of the most important things. Well, she got the agent's help to get that last space conquered. She went in, she got her drink, she had a great time, and then when she came out, she took a selfie with her Starbucks cup, and that was very helpful. She has since invited friends to join her at Starbucks and, to call Aira and see what it can do for them. And if you are venturing out and about and you do go to a Starbucks, this is the kind of thing, if you're at the pickup window to pick up your order, maybe this absolutely counts. You're at the Starbucks facility, get your order, let's get a selfie of that and put it on social media. We have a couple of tags and handles, Troy, that we want to give out to folks. And you can use the tag on my terms, the hashtag on my terms, all one word. That's our famous hashtag that you explorers actually brought that to us. And now it's a big part of the Aira brand. If you want to let Starbucks know that you are enjoying Aira. They are at the @ which is the shift of the number 2 on your keyboard. That's the @ Starbucks. So just at Starbucks. And then our social media handle is at Aira.io. All one word, no dot in there. AIRAIO. So, Troy, what can we do if we're not, I'm not in a target city, but I really want to help?
Yeah, that's a good one. So if you're not in the city, but I did want to, there was one last point I wanted to make. So if you're in one of those cities, also I've heard, and I get it, not everyone is knows every feature of the app. They're like, okay, where do I have a Starbucks in my city, or do you post on your website? You can look in the app. So that's obviously one place you can look. You can find the closest offer, and that's possible. But of course, you can always use one of your 5-minute calls to ask the agent to help identify a nearby location or route and do some planning. So that's just another tip that I've heard from a couple folks, as a way to make it even easier. But if you're not in one of those cities or in the countries, I was joking with Janine, I almost feel like I'm campaigning. Maybe there's just too much political stuff going on, but getting out and voting is super important. But I feel like I'm campaigning here, get out and post, or get out and tell a friend to post.
Here.
Yeah. Think of folks and give them a call. That's, maybe you know someone in New York. Maybe it'd be a good chance for you just to give them a call, right? Hey, this is crazy. I use Aira, but you might be interested, and you can make it your own. Think of groups where you can share. And then, as Janine said, like it's okay for you to post. You're not in the city per se, but you could say things like, "Starbucks, we're so encouraged. Can't wait for Ira to come to fill in the blank." Or, great to see brands like Target, B of A, Starbucks embracing Ira and technologies like Ira. Ultimately, whatever is authentic to you, as long as you're using a hashtag and perhaps, adding Starbucks, because they are watching, right? I know they're watching. That's kind of part of what they're testing for. And by the way, if you don't have a social account, you know, consider getting one. Although, talk to your friends or whoever. Like, it may not be for you. Like, not all of us are on social. For sure. Obviously, it's your decision. But if you did want to finally, get a social account, see what's going on there, you can use a 5-minute call for free to set up Twitter. That usually takes under 5 minutes. Facebook, I'm told, takes a little longer, so maybe
A little
you
bit
could spread it
longer.
out over a couple calls. And then if you absolutely hate it, you can first zing me on social, say, "Troy, that was a terrible idea," and then exit. I'm kind of kidding, but I I suggest this again, humbly, and if it's not you, I totally get it. But here's the benefit, and I think you already kind of alluded to it, which is ultimately establishing Starbucks means more than just Ira and more than just our brand and more than just, free Starbucks at these participating cities. And even when they go further and we pass the test, right, and go national and all that stuff, and maybe in international, like, think about the fact that as brands and as, large brands choose to adopt a service like Ira, they're really sending a message to their peers and to anyone else that this is important. And I mean, as Ira goes, I can't think of a way to more publicly demonstrate this cooperation and the future that we can deliver together than getting a large brand like Starbucks. Like, there's many brands, and this just happens to be one of the biggest and the most visible. I mean, there's plenty of cities where it's kind of crazy. There's a Starbucks literally across the street. That always blows my mind. Like, how can they make money? How can they support 2 stores? Or, like, I can get it on this side of the street or that side of the street. Well, that's just how widely deployed they are, and that's how visible it's going to be.
Absolutely.
So let me
Troy.
summarize. Oh, go ahead, Janine.
Sure. No, I was just going to say, just going to ask if you wanted to take a couple questions.
I do, and I'll finish because I've done a lot of talking. I want to summarize that, there's 26 days to go to our first milestone. That's when we'll first look at kind of where we are. We're only at a 10% level. So we do need to, and I say we, I mean Ira, I mean all of us. Like, we now's the time to jump in and engage. So we have 26 days left. Use it, tell others, talk about it. Right? That's simple. Engage, and up to 30 minutes, as many times a day as you like. And I just think I think there's just a lot of benefits here. So again, I want to thank you for being an explorer, and I really appreciate when you guys show up, and I'm looking forward to the questions and the discussion we have now. So I'll open it up for questions.
All right, so you can ask a question by raising your hand, and you will do that on the PC. That will be Alt-Y. On the Mac, that will be Option Y. And on your phone, that will be *9. So Ryan, do we have any questions out there?
So far, no hands raised.
Oh, no hands raised.
wait.
Any comments? You can also, if you are watching us on YouTube, you can write in the comment box.
All right, so we're going to take a question from Valerie.
Hello, Valerie.
Hello. So I know this is kind of cross company or platform, or however you want to word it. What about the Starbucks locations in Target? Are they covered by Starbucks? Are they covered by Target?
I would say this, Valerie. First off, I think those technically would be Target. Like, when it comes to this engagement, how it's going to be categorized. So you will know, because when you make the call, it'll, the agent can confirm. You can ask them, like, what offer is this being applied to? But I'm pretty sure those will be attributed to Target.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, at
Okay,
this point.
thank you.
So the Starbucks franchises that are in other kinds of facilities will not count, but you'll be able to tell because you'll get the lovely tone and the message that you are in a free access location. And if you want to actually go into the app, you can tap on that apply a free offer button. And under that, you'll see 3 categories, location, promotions, and products. And you'll go into locations, and there's a little search box up at the top, and you can type in Starbucks, and voila, the closest Starbucks to you will pop up. Now, mine is quite a ways away. It's actually in Washington, D.C., so unfortunately, I'm a little out, but that's how you can find the closest location to you if you are in or near one of these metro areas that are covered. Great. Do we have any other questions, Ryan?
So far, no other questions, not on
Okay.
YouTube or here.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Troy. I'm going to make a couple more announcements here about some promos that we have going on, and then we'll get to our special presentation tonight. I just wanted to remind everybody that we do have a voting promo going on. Troy had mentioned voting, and I saw half of my Facebook contingent today, I think, voted yesterday. So there were a lot of I voted selfies yesterday. But here in the U.S., of course, we have a national election, and we have a Get Out the Vote promo. And in this promo, you get 120 minutes in 20-minute increments to research candidates, to actually fill out your mail-in ballot, to go to your polling place and do the pre-election day voting if you have that early voting option. I'm going to take advantage of that probably tomorrow. You can do a number of things with this promo, and you can find out about the promo and apply it to your call by, again, going to that apply a free offer button, going into the promotions, and looking up our Get Out the Vote promo. And you can ask your agent, if you're not sure whether something is covered, you can ask your agent and they will let you know exactly what's covered, but it is also spelled out there in the app. So that promo will be good through November 3rd. And for our international folks out there, this offer will be extended to you when you have national elections. So just, some of our advisor folks in these countries will let us know when they're having a national election, and we'll turn that promo on for you as well so that you can get the access to the information that you need to cast your vote. And it's extremely important, as we all know here in the U.S. this year, for everyone to vote, and we want to make that as easy as possible. And then you can go get your Starbucks after you vote. So you can have your I voted sticker on your Starbucks cup. How's that? I think that will be quite a good thing. We have a couple special programs that are going on in the next couple weeks. We have our Afternoon at the Museum series this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Time. And we are going to be in the second part of our visit to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. They are part of the Smithsonian Museum, who is one of our amazing access partners. And if you are in the Washington, D.C. area, once you've gotten your Starbucks, of course, you can visit this museum. They are now open, actually. They have some limitations, but they're definitely open. But they have tons of information on their website, and we're going to explore that information a little bit with Stephanie Watts, your host, and one of our agents taking a look at music and sports, which is just a small part of this huge museum. So we have that on Friday. Then next Tuesday, we wrap up our current expedition series with a look at Team Viewer. Now, Team Viewer is a very important screen sharing app, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that here in our special presentation to you. But if you have questions about Team Viewer, you want to learn how to use it either on your phone or on the computer, we're going to be demonstrating that and showing you exactly what the agents can do when you are using Team Viewer, either on the PC, the Mac, the iPhone, or the Android phone. So with that, Ryan, do we have any other announcements, any other exciting things going on?
We don't. We do have a little bit of chat here on YouTube,
Oh,
however, and we do have one person who is asking Troy and other people here what your signature Starbucks drink is.
ooh,
So that's one of the funner chats that are coming in right
ooh,
now.
that's a great question.
I think we should all have to declare our favorite drink. I'll start with mine. I'm pretty simple. It's really just 2 shots of espresso with some foam, and then I dump like a big teaspoon of sugar in there, and
Oh,
then that gets me where I want to go pretty quick.
All right, Janine.
okay. Well,
What is
mine,
yours?
my year-round drink is embarrassingly enough the birthday cake frappuccino. Ah, addictive.
Hey, there is nothing wrong with birthday cake anything at
Addictive,
Starbucks.
but you know
I'm
what?
not
The
gonna lie.
holidays are coming, and the chestnut praline. Oh, yeah.
You know, the birthday cake pops are absolutely amazing at Starbucks. You can't go in there without getting a cake pop. Although I will say it, and my favorite snack before I go to drink at Starbucks, and it's so basic and it's so boring, and people will laugh at me, but I've always loved going into Starbucks and getting one of those toasted cookies.
Ooh,
I
yes.
had one the first time at Starbucks, nice and warmed up, and I was so happy.
Oh, yum.
Ryan,
I'm a fan of those giant Rice Krispie bars.
Ryan, I'm definitely gonna upstage your basic and boring. My Starbucks drink is a tall black coffee. That's all.
Ooh. Excellent, Joshua. That is awesome. And and we're going to ask our special presenter tonight, Maia. You get to be put on the spot about your signature Starbucks drink.
My signature Starbucks drink, if I had to choose a favorite, it was actually one, unfortunately, that was discontinued. It was called the Cascara Latte. But one that they still have on the menu, my go-to is a caramel macchiato, preferably
yeah.
iced.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, since
That
we're
is
talking
another
Starbucks, this is
excellent one.
totally random. Do they have a secret menu at Starbucks like some places do, or do they vary by location? This is showing how like simple I am. I never go in and
That's a really good question. I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
it does vary by location
Yeah.
because I've been in some where I know the chestnut praline lasted a lot longer than the holidays, so I think it may vary a little bit. So it's worth, going in there with your agent and checking out that actual menu that's posted.
It'd be cool if we could, as a group, figure out if they have a secret menu, and maybe our agents could find out about it. I don't know.
Ooh, and
I've
I bet
actually
they
talked
could.
to some baristas before that work at Starbucks. I have some friends who do, and they said that unfortunately the secret menu is kind of a myth, but they do have a lot of flavors that they can make drinks with that aren't necessarily advertised on the menu. So you could always ask about what types of syrups they have and things that, their favorite drink, things that aren't officially menu, but they could still make.
Ooh, hey, we got a Starbucks hack, folks. I bet you weren't expecting that tonight, were you? That is awesome.
So
Well,
I'm
do we have anything
I'm
else,
not an
Ryan?
agent, but I did look it up, and butterbeer fraps are apparently one thing.
Oh
to ask.
my goodness. That may replace my birthday cake. Oh boy. I love Highland Grog flavored coffee, which is basically butterscotch coffee, folks. Oh.
Sounds amazing.
So,
Yeah,
well,
I'm gonna have to go to Starbucks and get a
I
butterbeer.
know,
frap.
I
It just
know.
sounds
Now I'm going to have
absolutely
to check that out. Maybe if I go tomorrow. So, Ryan, anybody else out there?
So there's no other. You answered the other question we had. Will there be any more future IRA access offers, or any other IRA access offers that we have? You answered that question, and it looks like other than
I would
giving
say
a
this, Ryan, like you guys, here's a little like tip. At any time, and we're going to overload the Starbucks theme. At any time, we're probably attempting to brew about 20 different access, offers, right? Like we're always behind the scenes, like working this. If anyone knows Kevin Phelan or Marty Watts or Vince Morvillo, those are the guys out like knocking on doors, setting up meetings, Zoom calls, sharing the story, so we can get access in more places. And, you know, I'm the worst person to bring to that meeting because I have literally the list in front of me of like what's possible and what's coming, but I have to keep my mouth shut until those are available. But, if you could look behind the doors, if you will, that you would see a lot. And again, that's why, when we have a test, when we deploy a large one, it's really not just for that one, it's for everyone else who follows, because again, people, gain confidence when they see others do something, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And lest you think that air travel is a thing of the past, we do have a new access partner with the Akron-Canton, Ohio Airport, which is it's a small airport, but it's a very busy one the few times that I've been there recently. And so that just goes to show you that there are still airports out there in the Aira Airport Access Network. So, people are still flying. Ryan has been flying a bit lately, and, we're still out there.
Yeah. And I should say this, like, it's probably worth celebrating again. A lot of these partners, a lot of these airports are seeing like, 1/10 or less the demand that they had at the same time last year. And at the same time, all of these airports are renewing their pledge, renewing their contracts, which is great, right? So they're saying like, hey, I may be slow right now, but this is important, and they renew. And that is another thing that you probably don't see or hear about, but we do celebrate, because that's really, again, a testament to like the usage, the brand, like this whole solution works, right? It provides the service, and people do talk about it, and the airports do see it, right? Because you should know, an access partner gets a report every month that talks about what happened in their airport with Aira.
Absolutely. Well, we're celebrating a lot of things this month. We are celebrating Blind Persons Month, and we just celebrated White Cane Safety Day and Blind Americans Equality Day last week, and it was so fun to actually launch our Starbucks test that very day, because
Absolutely.
Nothing says independence like going out, getting what you want, and moving around freely. And if we can support that offer from beginning to end, awesome. Well, it's also Disability Employment Awareness Month. And to celebrate this month and give you a little something to go on here, we have brought one of our agents, Maia, with us tonight to talk about resume writing and formatting your resume. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stage over to Maia for a little bit of a talk about resume writing.
All right. I'm going to go over two main things. The first is going to be just some basic tips on things to do when you're building a resume, some general formatting stuff that is pretty common across the board. And then I'm going to talk about how to get ready to work with an agent. So if you want help with formatting, what types of things you can do to be prepared for that session. So with a resume, one thing to keep in mind is that generally speaking, resumes are kept within a 1-page length. That being said, I'm going to move into what should be on a resume, just basic tips. At the top, you'll want your full name and your contact information. That way, when you apply for a job right off the bat, they know who you are and how they can get in touch with you. After that, you'll want to have a section with your experience. So this is going to be previous places that you've worked. So in this section, you'll want your employer's name, the job title that you had, the dates you worked there, and any duties or accomplishments that you had at that job. You'll want to keep that description brief but still clear. Be sure to list all of these previous jobs, starting with the most recent and going back from there. This keeps it nice and organized. After that, you'll have an education section. So this is where you'll list the name of any school that you went to, whether it's a high school or a university, the dates you attended, and if you graduated there, the diploma you received. And this will also be organized starting with the most recent and going back from there. And then any remaining space you have before you hit that 1-page limit, this is where you can include things like special skills or other experiences that you have that are relevant to the job you're applying for. As far as getting ready to work with an agent, there's a couple things that can be really helpful for both the explorers and the agents. The first is thinking about in advance if you want to use something like TeamViewer, which I know Janine mentioned briefly, or if you prefer to email the resume to the agent that you're working with. Either one works for us, but it's good to think about that in advance so that you can either have TeamViewer pulled up or you could have an email drafted and all you have to do is type in the agent's email address. And then also think about what specifically you want to be formatted. So how much detail are you looking for? I had a call not too long ago with an explorer that was given a template for a resume, and they expressed to me that they weren't feeling super confident with it. And I took a look at it, and it had some really funky font colors. I was seeing lots of greens in there. And so in that situation, what I did was I described in vivid detail everything that I was seeing. So I said, hey, so I'm seeing the headings are this color and this font style, but the text that goes with that heading is a different font color and style. Is that something that you want to keep, or would you like to make changes to that? My job is to give you all the visual information you need so that you can make an informed decision about changes that you want to make to your resume and feel confident with those changes. So if that is what you want to do, something more detailed like that, absolutely great. Let the agent know that you want to go through each section kind of with a fine-tooth comb. You could also just say, hey, I would like you to check some overarching details like margins and font style and spell check, just consistency across the board. So think about how much detail you want us to check with you on that formatting. And then one last tip that I will give based on experience, and luckily it didn't end up badly, but make sure to let the agent know if you want changes saved as you go, or if you want to wait till the end and either save it then or make a copy of it. So that way we don't end up saving anything and then saying, oh no, you wanted that waited till the end. So definitely great to let the agent know. So those are just a couple of things that I'd recommend. And of course, having a picture in mind of kind of, I want this font style, or I want it to look kind of like this, that can be really helpful too. So just going in with some expectations. Oh, and one more thing on planning out in advance. If you are updating a resume, one thing that can be really helpful is if you type anything you want to add to your current resume in a separate document, so that way it's ready to go and we can just help you format that into the resume you already have.
Thank you so much, Maia. That fantastic advice. Now, what if, let's say you are somebody who may be congenitally blind and you're not really sure about the formatting? Like, okay, what kind of fonts are there? What do resumes look like? Can I work with my agent on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could definitely ask us if you prefer we look up some sources and describe it to you that way. I could pull up probably a couple different sources within a few seconds of tips and tricks for resumes. I could describe the fonts in terms of overall style. It's a little challenging at times to describe a specific font. Like if I was describing what Times New Roman looks like, well, it doesn't look necessarily like Roman numerals, but it is a much more sophisticated font. It's pretty uniform. So I try to give some overall details to give you a clear mindset of the consistency of it. So absolutely, you can work with your agent on things like that. You can ask for agent opinion, but we will do our best to remain objective at all times, especially even when you've asked for opinion. We try to give you very little. So I could say, yeah, it looks sophisticated because XYZ, and I'll include all the information that has led me to that. So we will definitely help you find sources and explain everything that we can to help you understand what you'll need in a resume and what formatting should look like in an average resume.
Great. And everybody remember, too, this is covered under our Job Seeker promo. And just to let you know and remind everyone that because we have that big bucket of minutes that we can use here at Aira to support various efforts, we have a temporary hold on the Job Seeker promo. We have you can get up to 60 minutes with an agent until the election. After the election, our Job Seeker promo goes back to its original state. And you can look in the app and it will tell you all the regulations for the Job Seeker promo. But we had to limit it a little bit for October so that we could have our voting promo in there as well. So now, Maia, what if when I'm done with my resume, what can I do with it? Can the agent help me maybe post it to some job boards or help me figure out what to do next?
Yes, absolutely. I've definitely helped a lot of explorers with things like that. So you mentioned the Job Seeker promo. I guess I'll build off of that. So we can definitely help you post it to job boards, things like LinkedIn. We can also help you move forward if you have a job you're trying to apply to. So attaching that resume, making sure the format stayed consistent when you did attach it, answering any questions they may have. I know sometimes they have questions about you beyond what's on your resume. And I've also seen sometimes those types of online forms aren't accessible. So we can definitely help you with those steps.
Oh, that is great to know. And Ryan, let's open it up for a few questions actually for Maia about resumes.
Absolutely.
So if you are out there either on YouTube or here in the Zoom, you can post something in the comments for us or raise your hand actually to ask Maia a question about resume writing and getting your resume in tune. I find it really hard to keep everything on one page.
I understand that.
Now,
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It's that whole keeping everything on one page, whatnot for me as well. So.
And it's always good to have an up-to-date copy of your resume, even if you're not thinking about changing jobs. Sometimes you may get a committee appointment or something like that where somebody wants to look at your resume. And like me, don't be like Janine. Do not realize that you haven't updated your resume in 5 years and then jump in and try to reformat it. Be sure that you have something ready at least once a year. Look in there and do an update.
Hey, Maia, this is Troy. I have a question, actually.
Sure.
And by the way, I have like 3 daughters, and like one of them's looking for a job, and I know how stressful resume writing is, right? It's just it feels often like this is your one shot to make that impression. But so I'm, it's a great service to have because formatting can be really challenging. You're trying to get all that information on one page, but not have it too cluttered. But I also know that LinkedIn is increasingly popular as kind of a way to express a resume, if you will. Do you get very many requests, or how do you manage, or how have you seen people manage that kind of like, I've got my resume, I've got my LinkedIn profile. How difficult is it to work with a LinkedIn profile?
From my experience, it's not too challenging. LinkedIn does have a lot of stuff pretty well laid out. So I know you mentioned that LinkedIn kind of has its own version of a resume. Sometimes they'll ask a lot of similar questions to what you'd see on a resume. So those are things that we can also help you edit if you're not sure about it, or you want to make sure that, I've typed some stuff, but I don't know if this actually looks the way I think it does, or if there's maybe a spelling error that I didn't quite catch, things like that. So yeah, we can definitely help with LinkedIn. I've also seen on some people's resumes, they'll put, if they have a LinkedIn account, they'll put that with their contact information on their resume. So that's another thing you can include in, you'll have your full name, you'll have your email address, and then even your LinkedIn profile if you feel that that's something that you really benefit from.
Great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
I just saw it pretty recently.
Ryan, any questions out there?
I don't see any questions so far. Yeah,
you guys are really quiet tonight. So in the few minutes we have left, do we have any questions for Troy? Wow, again, you guys are really quiet.
Maybe, Janine, we could take an opportunity, just real briefly, if you were in the Zoom version of this session, we had a spammer come in. And, we were talking about behind the scenes, apologize for not catching the spammer sooner.
Yes.
We'll do a better job. That was our first time that's ever happened. So
yep, absolutely.
Whatever, some people, I guess, have nothing better to do, but that's all I want to say about it. We'll prevent that in the future. Apologies to anyone who had to be bored with what the spammer had to say.
Yep. Absolutely. So many apologies about that. We do not tolerate that kind of thing here at Aira by any means. So, if anyone does have questions, you can contact us, support@aira.io. That is the email where you can send all of your questions, comments, etc., and those get sorted out by Ryan and his amazing customer care staff. Or you can call us at 1-800-835-1934. That is our U.S. and Canada tech support number and customer care number. And that's a good number for anything. If you have a question about one of our promos, if you have a question about our plans, our various offerings, please give us a call and our care team will be happy to talk with you. So Ryan, anything from your end? Because you know what it's almost time for.
Oh, I know what it's time for, and I look forward to this every time, every Explorer call.
Every Explorer call, I'm going to hold it up. It's the Braille calendar, and it's almost time for a new Braille calendar because we're looking at November, folks. Can you believe it's November? I know we're all hoping 2020 will end, and it will end in a nice way. So our next Explorer call will be on Wednesday, November the 18th, and it looks like here, Thanksgiving's a little late this year. It's on the 26th. So on the 18th, we will be meeting again here. And who knows what we're going to be talking about at that time. But we may ask all of you to submit your signature Starbucks drinks. And if you've tried that butterbeer frap, I mean, now I'm totally curious.
Got to do it. It's got to happen. There's got to be a butterbeer frap in our future.
I was just going to say, we may have to toast with them next time. That would be fun, too. That would be quite awesome. Well, we hope that all of you have a wonderful Halloween, that we all get through the election safely and securely, and go out there and just, do your life on my terms, as you all have coined the phrase here at Aira. So I'd like to thank Troy Otilio and Maia, our lovely agent, and Joshua, and of course, Ryan, my co-pilot here on our Explorer calls.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been Janine Stanley with your Aira Explorer call for October